Time to check out a Stan Kraychik mystery, Book 5. Author, Grant Michaels. Publisher, St. Martin's Press, New York, 1996. Narrator, Eric Aust. Chapter 9. 5 o'clock, said Sanfuentes as he led me to his office. You got a whole hour to spare. I recounted everything I'd seen and heard that day. However, indirectly, it reflected on the death of Augusta Willitt. Sanfuentes took few notes, as though he already knew everything I told him. Then I mentioned the bothersome pink taxicab. Maybe the driver thinks you need a lift, he said, brushing it off. Last night it was raining pretty hard, and today, I don't know, maybe he went shopping and had a load of bundles. I didn't go shopping, Lieutenant. Okay, said Sanfuentes. All I'm saying is, maybe that cab was just trying to give you a chance to hail him. It's not a real cab. How do you know? Said the cop. I called the cab company, and they don't have a car with that plate. Is that so? Then he shrugged. We got a lot of independent cabbies around here. Maybe one of them painted his car pink. Wouldn't the cab company protest something like that? What are you going to do? He said. Sue the guy for having a pink car? It looks like a pink cab, Lieutenant. That's different. It's almost a trademark. Sanfuentes wouldn't buy my argument. Did you ever think maybe the guy driving that cab likes you? I ignored his taunt and asked if I could see copies of Peter and Augusta Willitt's wills. No way, said the cop. That's private stuff. I thought a will was public information when it's in probate. Is that so? Said Sanfuentes again. Then if you can get your hands on a copy, be my guest. What about yours? He paused and said flatly. I think I mislaid it. But the motives are all there. Oh, really? He said. Tell me about these motives. His voice held more challenge than interest. Still, I explained the obvious, how everyone who stood to inherit property from Peter's estate had a good reason to stop Augusta from contesting the will. That is, kill her. Sanfuentes agreed and asked me what else I expected to find in the two wills. I don't know, I said. That's why I want to see them. Nah, said the cop with a stubborn shake of his head. I think we have a little misunderstanding here. Your job, correction, your small favor to me, is to look and listen and then come and talk to me. It is not to advise me how to run my case. Are we clear on that? I told him if I knew what he was doing on the case, I wouldn't have to duplicate his efforts. His reply, go ahead and duplicate them, if you think you can. Then he suggested, I was taking my assignment too seriously, at the expense of enjoying my vacation, as if to placate him. I told him I was going to a bingo party that night. Don't lose your shirt, he said. I can keep my clothes on for bingo, I said. That's a good start, said the cop. Duly slapped on the wrist, I left the station and headed back to my guest house. I stripped and lay down on the bed and let the air conditioner blow cool air over me. I tried one more time to get into Edsel Sham's book, especially since I'd spent some time with him at breakfast that day. I thought it might give me a window into his writing, but it didn't help. It was like watching television from the printed page. I closed the book and rolled over onto my front side. The wavy patterns of raised cotton Chanel scrubbed softly against my chest and belly and thighs, much the way my lover's body hair used to stimulate me. I drifted off pleasantly for a short nap. When I woke up, I called Nicole and told her about my unofficial job assisting the Key West police. She was hardly pleased. You treat these things like a puzzle, Stanley, an innocent game, and you seem to forget that somewhere along the string of events there's a killer. Nikki, what I'm about to say might sound a bit exalted. Then don't say it. I have to. It's like a cosmic joke on me. You know how I always dreamed of being rich, but never really believed it would happen? And so instead, I dreamed and I hoped for love, and I got that, finally. For a little while anyway. What is your point? Said Nicole, already impatient. The point is, I lost my love and found myself rich, and I don't even care now. You will in a few years, darling. Nikki, right now I don't care if I live or die. Stanley, let me finish. If I don't care about anything, and I mean generally, I mean you're still important, and the cat is important, and I love you both. I suppose that's something, she said testily. But I need a reason to get me through the day. Even you said I need structure. I meant something practical, not finding killers. Branko does it. Stop calling him that, said Nicole. You are not Branko, I mean Vito. But maybe I can work for him. Nicky, he said he'd help me get into the police academy. That would be a major coup for someone like me. Oh, said Nicole. So, this is really a quest to prove that a hairdresser is as worthy as a police officer? What's wrong with that? Stanley, you have a life already, a good life. You have satisfied clients, you have a creative freedom, and you have me. And I need to change. Am I so horrible to work for? No, Nikki. We'll always be best friends, but this has nothing to do with you. It's me. Part of me is dead, and I'm trying to revive the piece that's still breathing. I just want to try this sleuthing bit a while. And that's exactly what it is, said Nicole. A bit, like on the stage. Don't discard your past so easily, Stanley, and don't forget that your clients at the shop can't kill you. They can cause psychic death. Well, said Nicole with a big sigh, at least we're arguing again. Perhaps there's hope. Bitter hope. Stop it, said Nicole. Are you going to call Vito? I want to prove myself first. Nicole roared her boisterous laugh, and I had to pull the phone from my ear. When she quieted down, she said, You sound like a prince who must slay a dragon to win a damsel's heart. Branko is hardly a damsel. Yes, Stanley, and you're hardly a prince. Now, just be reasonable and call the man if you need his help. Vito and I are both on your side, and in the meantime, try to eat something. Yes, ma'am. And call me. Yes, again. Then Nicole hung up. She had unwittingly bruised my ego, telling me I wasn't a prince. Who knew that fact better than I? But it was still unnerving to hear it stated so flatly from my beloved, trusted, unconditional friend. I gazed into a nearby mirror. You are not a prince, I said. How would I console my wounded ego with such bitter truth? My inner child was no use, since I'd aborted her long ago. And that recent brigade of cosmic healers, the angels, had somehow overlooked me in their circumnavigations of the globe. So instead, I took a shower. You can't shower too often in the sticky heat of Key West, and I finally lathered up and shaved the many days of stubble from my face. I did retain the short mustache whiskers from an illusion of toughness. Then I picked out a bright little ensemble for the evening's outing. Pink shorts and a gray polo jersey. The sun was down, so my skin was safe. Besides, under cover of night, my pale check complexion would appear less glaring than it would in the dark tropical sunlight. I checked myself in the mirror. For someone who was trying to bid adieu to the past and embark on a new life, the picture wasn't bad. The most obvious change was that the dumpling had become a breadstick. My face was gaunt with cheekbones protruding, and the skin around my eyes was darkened with grief and trouble. With my smooth slenderness, I almost looked like a boy who stayed up too late and did naughty things, a boy with strong, sturdy legs and gray and copper bristles coming out of his head. I still didn't know who I was. As I passed the front desk downstairs, the receptionist whistled at me and said, "Get a load of those gams." I glanced at him over my shoulder and gave a little back kick with one leg. "You should see me in travesti," I said, "when I play a real man." "You mean with harness and tit clamps?" said the clerk. If he could perceive that side of me so easily, I was a cliché after all. When I arrived at the toolbox, Cozy Dinette was at the upstairs bar, sitting alone and lubricating her vocal cords with a pre-show cocktail. She saw me and called out, "Boston!" and waved me over to her. She greeted me with a big hug and ran the top of one hand tenderly over my clean-shaven jaw and cheek. "Nice," she said, "and I like the stash, too." In return, I complimented our evening eyewear, fox emerald-studded frames with pale champagne lenses. "Boston," she said, "I have more shades than Amelda had shoes." And she laughed her raucous laugh. I looked for Ross, my favorite cowboy bartender, but Cozy told me he was off duty that night, that he had other jobs. She must have seen the disappointment in my face because she said, "I hope you're not getting hopeful ideals for him." "Kinda, sorta," I said. "Don't," said Cozy. "I thought you two were friends." "Boston, I love him, but even the people you love must have things about them you wouldn't tell your best friend, and since you're my newest best friend, I'm telling you to keep it strictly huggy-kissy with Ross." "If I get that far." Oh, you will," said Cozy. I ordered a martini from the Great One's runner-up. Though he did well, he was no match for Ross, the absent master. Sitting on the other side of the circular bar were the Countess Ralinska, wearing her semi-permeable eyeglasses, and Ken Kimball, wearing his semi-permeable muscles. Ken seemed to avoid my eyes. Perhaps he was embarrassed by the scene he'd made that afternoon in Jared Ballami's gallery. The Countess, meanwhile, oblivious to her self-appointed station, guzzled champagne and carelessly waved her unlit cigarette in holder around. "Excuse me," I said to Cozy, "while I go raise the nap on someone's velvet glove." "Hers," said Cozy, indicating the Countess. "And his," I said. "Why, Ken's a nice guy." "Too smooth to be true," I said. I went and stood in front of Ken and the Countess, who were facing each other on their bar stools. They tried to ignore me, so I spoke up, friendly-like. "Nice to see you two here tonight." "Without missing a beat," Ken replied. "I'm always here for the bingo parties. They're fundraisers, and I always make a generous donation." "Cash," I said, "or something more tangible, like artwork?" "Sometimes both," said Ken, cool and collected. "I need a donation, too," said the Countess. Her speech was slightly slurred. "Or I shall never have my air conditioning." "Stasia," said Ken. "Nothing is final yet." He spoke firmly as though trying to shut her up. But, with the help of too much champagne, she would have her say. "Whom shall we fight now?" she said, using good grammar, which may have been just one more regal affectation. "The woman is dead." Ken said, "Augusta didn't get herself killed on purpose." "Still," said the Countess, "she did stop my air conditioning." She turned and faced toward me. "You cannot imagine the discomfort I must endure." I said, "If you don't like the weather, maybe you should go home." Sound advice from a sun-sensitive sissy in Key West. The Countess glared at me. "This is my home, but I need money. Perhaps you can help me." I said, "What about your friends?" I glanced toward Ken, who defended himself quickly. "I'm having physical issues." The Countess rotated the bar stool so that her whole body faced me directly. "Did you not acquire a large sum of money recently? Surely you have more than you need." There it was, a royalty appealing to a hair burner for air conditioning. I said politely, "I'm sorry." "Don't you have any cash?" she said, raising her voice. Her directness flustered me. "Not really," I said. It was almost true, for I'd put most of the money into responsible investments until I decided what to do with it. I mean, besides blowing it. The Countess pressed on. "When will you have some?" I hesitated. "I'm not sure." Suddenly, Cozy Dinette was standing between us. "Leave him alone, Countess. He's not a paint machine." "But what am I to do?" said the Countess. "Figure it out yourself," yelled Cozy. "You act like you're the only one who lost something. We all lost, Countess. Face it, it's time to join the human race." But the Countess just clucked her tongue, and then she rotated herself away from us and back toward Ken Kimball. She lowered her voice and murmured something to him. Then she glanced over her shoulder and tittered quietly at Cozy and me. Cozy grabbed my arm. "Come on," she said. "Let's go play bingo." On the way down, I asked Cozy what she'd meant about everyone losing. "Who's everyone?" I said. "Never mind," she said. "It doesn't concern you." I stopped on the stairs and pouted. "Some best friend you are," I said. "Keeping secrets." "What secrets?" she said. "Cozy, I already know Augusta won her case and got everything from Peter's estate." "So," she said, "so who else was in Peter's will?" "That's not important," she said. "But everyone had a motive to kill Augusta." "Not necessarily," said Cozy. "But you'll all appeal the decision, right?" "Actually, our lawyer has advised against that." "Maybe you need a new lawyer." "We already have the best one on the keys." "Really, Boston? Leave it alone." "Are you hiding something?" Cozy flashed her cold blue eyes at me. "Look, whoever killed Augusta was too late. She'd already won." "Maybe you didn't know that at the time." "Me?" said Cozy. "Geez, Boston, when you turn, you really turn." "I want to make sure my best friend isn't a criminal." "It could be worse," she said. "How?" "I could be lying." Then Cozy laughed and said, "Come on, let's go win piles of cash." We entered the downstairs patio where the bingo game was in high gear, crackling with the desperate energy of gamblers. Most of the donated prizes had been claimed already, but the huge cash pot had not been played for yet. To add spice to the game, the cost of the cards had been raised every round as the value of the offered prizes went up. Half of all the money taken during the evening went to support a local hospice. The other went into the cash pot. Cozy and I entered the game just in time to play for that big prize. When the price of a single bingo card was $20, she looked at me and said, "What do you think? Too high?" "These days, doll, it's all or nothing for me." Cozy bought one card. I bought 5. When I handed the guy a $100 bill, he complimented my legs. Within 5 minutes, Cozy proved herself a latent prophet. I won the cash pot. It contained almost $5,000, which was a far better return on the $100 than anything a legitimate broker had got me so far with Rafik's blood money. Still, I knew other people needed the bingo loot a lot more than rich little me did, and the Countess wasn't among them, so I donated all to the hospice fund. Then I wrote an IOU for roughly $5,000 more, just to round the total up to a nice even 10. I had too much money for myself anyway. One of the young guys who'd been playing the game exclaimed hotly, "Are you crazy? You don't give the cash pot away." "I do," I said. He grumbled, while another stranger, an older guy, came up to me and said, "I like impetuous men, and I like your fuss cut, too." "It was self-inflicted," I said. Then I complimented him on his hair, which was suitably youthful for his far from boyish age. "Oh, Kitty," he said, turning playful, "don't flirt with this old thing. It's called All Day at Work, and it fell." Then he laughed and tottered off. With the bingo party over, the upstairs cabaret was officially open, so Cozy and I went back up. She dashed backstage to get ready while I took a seat near the door. Meanwhile, the audience had to endure the preternatural wailings of the warm-up singer, a rank novice, who caused me to wonder if humans really were the only primates who sang. 2 more cocktails, and 3/4 of an hour later came the announcement for the evening's featured event. Miss Cozy Dinette and her band, the Family Style Mills. They opened the set with their local hit single, "Can't Remember Shit," and finally I got to hear it. The song began as a quiet blues ballad about a woman who'd lost her one man and then sank to the bottom of existence with a bottle in her hand. Cozy reinforced the message of her performance by imbibing a large cocktail on stage. But then, broken and downhearted, the heroine of the song finds her inner strength and empowers herself, and rises victorious over a wasted life of addiction and abuse. It was a paean to recovery, and by the end of the song, Cozy Dinette and the family style mills were rocking the timbers of the toolbox. Despite the irony that Cozy Dinette was thoroughly intoxicated while singing about the triumph of recovery, the audience went wild. That's when I realized I'd had all the fun I was going to have that night, and it was time to leave. I headed back downstairs as I passed a tiny lounge off the main lobby. I noticed 3 people sitting around a table in a faraway corner. They were Edsel Sham, Adolf Doberman, and the mysterious woman in voluminous silk. Their tete-a-tete was a déjà vu, for I had seen the same trio at the O-side the previous night, and Doberman was supposed to have left town already. I approached their small table. The corner location had confined the dense smoke from Adolf's and Edsel's cigarettes, creating a private Alhambra around the 3 of them. But the trio had also left their sunglasses at home, so I got to see everyone's eyes, albeit in the protective gloaming of a crowded, noisy, smoky cocktail lounge. Edsel saw me and called out my name. My legs got an appraising glance from him as he said, "Did I hear right? You won the cash pot tonight, then turned it all back in?" "News travels fast," I said. "Something like that, sure," he replied. I shrugged. "It's only money." "We could all use more of that." Then he gestured toward Adolf. "You 2 have met already?" I nodded a greeting to the German, who didn't return it. Then Edsel introduced the woman in silk. Her name was Nancy Drew. No sooner had Edsel said it than she corrected him. "Nancy L. Drew," she said, emphasizing the initial. "I'm the attorney, not the other one." Perhaps it was her ideal of a joke, but there was certainly no mistake in the 2 women. A single garment from this one's wardrobe, the cost of materials alone, considering the yardage required and the going rate for silk voile or crepe de chine, would exhaust any advance on royalties, perhaps even a movie deal, that the lesser literary Nancy Drew might have garnered. "I'm Stan Kraychik," I said. "What's your specialty?" A professional to the morrow, Attorney Nancy L. Drew answered reflexively. "Real estate, probate, and corporate law." "The clean stuff," I said. "Are you by any chance Cozy Dinette's attorney?" My question caused a moment of suspended animation at the table. Even the clouds of smoke stopped moving. Then Nancy L. Drew said, "Whatever makes you ask that?" I replied, "Cozy Dinette just told me she's got the best lawyer in Florida, and with a name like yours, you almost have an obligation to be the best." Nancy L. Drew said, "A reputation is based on more than a name." "That's hardly a direct answer," I said. "And it's hardly any of your business," said Nancy L. Drew. Adolf Doberman gave me a rodent-like glare, then said to the others, "My good friends, should our business elsewhere continue?" Edsel said, "What business? Have another beer, Adolf." "No, no," said the German. "Enough." Nancy L. Drew said. Adolf Doberman gave me a rodent-like glare, and then said to the others, "My good friends, should our business elsewhere continue?" Edsel said, "What business? Have another beer, Adolf." "No, no," said the German. "Enough." Nancy L. Drew said, "It's late for me, too. I have an early day tomorrow." I held up my hand. "Stop the excuses, folks. You can continue your public forum in complete privacy, for I'm on my way." Half-hearted farewells followed as I left their table. One side of the toolbox, I turned up a narrow alley that led to Symington Street. Someone called to me from behind, and I turned. It was Ken Kimball. He walked toward me, all the while staring at my pale but naturally muscular thighs and calves. Ken said, "I want to apologize for the Countess." "It doesn't matter," I said. "I hardly know her." "Stasia didn't realize your money came from someone's death." "Most inheritances do," I said. "Yes," he said quickly, "but there's something else, just between you and me." Ken paused, and suddenly awkward for a moment, the spiritual enthusiast went away, and he was just another pile of well-honed muscles. "I'm hosting a little party tomorrow evening, very private. I'd like you to come." I guess exposing my legs and arms had dispelled any concern about symptoms I might have been hiding. Ken went on. "There'll be a lot of interesting men there. Didn't you say earlier you were having money problems?" "I keep a special account for leisure," he said. What else did he do but leisure? And then Ken added suggestively, "I enjoy blowing a big wad on parties." "I'd better bring my wetsuit," Ken Kimball scowled. I said it was a joke. He said, "Do you have issues about sex?" "My lover is dead." "How long are you going to mourn for him?" "Until I'm done," I said. "Don't wait too long that you miss all the fun." "I live for more than that." "You have guilt issues, too." "Not guilt, Ken. And not issues, just plain old sadness." "I understand," he said. "You're in denial. You have all the classic signs. But take it from someone who has been through the dark forest. Until you can address those issues and accept what really happened to you and own all the things you've done to bury the truth and keep it hidden, until you can forgive yourself and those who violated you, you'll never truly heal and realize yourself, and I can help you. You can start by using plain English." He shook his head sadly. "You're exactly how I was. So stubborn." "Thanks for the advice, Ken, and for the invitation. I hope you'll come." "No promises," I said. He shook his head again. "Unable to commit," he said. I took a roundabout route back to the Jared Ballami House. I wasn't quite ready to encapsulate myself in my room again, and I wondered if there was any plain old-fashioned fun on the island, the kind that didn't require you to excavate repressed memories first. I took a detour down Windsor Lane, one of the narrow and less traveled streets. It became extremely dark where the road passed the cemetery. The streetlights had gone out too, probably from the previous night's rainstorm. And then I heard the sound of a car motor behind me, trailing along with me. I turned. Though the headlights blinded me, I knew it was the same pink taxicab as before. I raised my hand to hail it as if I needed a lift, but the cab raced its engine and zoomed off. So much for Lieutenant Sanfuente's friendship theory. Gay Mysteries audiobooks. I think it is easy to hate a label, but a face humanizes the word. So this effort is twofold: to offer comfort to those like myself that your world didn't end because you don't fit into the view of acceptable society on both sides, and in hopes of helping those with family that are LGBTQ, that it doesn't mean we are aliens from the child they once knew. Reassure them so they can maybe be supportive at the same time, being true to their values.